Welcome to today's webcast discussing Microsoft's roadmap for 2019. My name is Pradhan and I'm joined by my colleague Vibhor. Vibhor and I are business intelligence and analytics consultants here at Thorogood, and we've drawn on our Microsoft experience and expertise to bring you today's presentation. You can also feel free to get in touch with us via our contact details on the screen if you wish to have a longer conversation about today's topic. We will share our contact details again at the end of the presentation. Our agenda today will start with a brief introduction to Thorogood. Vibhor is going to take you through the Power BI roadmap and recent updates, which I think you're going to like. We are then going to switch to updates within Microsoft Azure, which is a constantly evolving landscape. And finally, we're going to wrap up with some really interesting new features that allow Power BI to leverage Azure much more efficiently. For those of you who don't know Thorogood, we are an independent niche BI and analytics services firm specializing in strategy and roadmaps, requirements, design, implementation, training, and support. We're headquartered out of London with offices all over the world. Our clients typically span 4 data-rich verticals: consumer goods, pharmaceutical and health services, banking, and insurance, with experience across the board in various functions of these verticals. In terms of technologies we work with, we are an independent consulting firm, meaning we don't work with one specific technology. We do, however, work and partner with many of the key players across the markets in order to provide our clients with solutions that best suit their needs. With today's topic focusing on Microsoft, I've put together some of our Microsoft credentials. We have been a Microsoft Gold partner for over 15 years. We are certified for data analytics, data platform. In addition, we are also a cloud platform certified partner. Our partnership gives us great interface into Microsoft development team, allowing for open communication both from Microsoft directly to our customers and feedback from our customers to the developers. If you're interested in working with us in any of the innovation programs, please reach out and let us know. Microsoft BI and Analytics product suite is quite expansive. We've categorized the products in many different ways, but feel that grouping them into these 4 categories, reporting, collaboration, data platform, and analytics, enables us to best communicate the broad reach of Microsoft. As mentioned, there's quite a lot across the product suite, too much for us to do justice in our short webcast today. We're going to focus our attention on the evolution we've seen and expect to continue to see with Power BI and Azure. If you have any questions about the other products within the BI and Analytics suite, please feel free to drop a question in the chat or reach out to us after the webcast, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. The first area to be covered today will be the Power BI roadmap. Let me hand over to my colleague Vibhor to take you through the Power BI roadmap and recent updates.
Thanks, Jay, for the introduction, and hello, everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule and joining us for this webcast. Now, as part of the Power BI features, we'll be going through a few of the good reporting and analytics improvements, including maps, matrices, filters, and Q&A features. Then we'll be moving on to data preparation and data connector improvements, comprising of fuzzy merge, data profiling, web and PDF connectors, and ending the feature updates with a few miscellaneous new features like incremental data refresh and personal bookmarks. Now let's get started with maps and matrices. The ArcGIS maps available in Power BI are new and has a better user interface where you can browse and filter with better performance. While the matrix visualization in Power BI, it has now the option to add drill-down features like Excel. Let us look at these in a quick demo. Here we are using the Power BI web service, while both of these features are also available in the desktop app. I've created an ArcGIS map visualization here to plot revenue numbers by size across the map areas. Now let us explore the options provided by Power BI. Firstly, browsing the map is quite easy. You can simply drag and drop using your mouse and browse to different areas of the map. Then, if needed, you can zoom in and zoom out either using the scroll of the mouse or using the buttons at the top right-hand corner. Then for selecting multiple areas, you also get a selection tool. Now once you have finalized your selections, you can also view the most similar areas based on your configured measure using the Find Similar feature. Here I have configured the map to show similarity based on penetration. The addresses are now ranked from most similar to 10th most similar. Now moving on to matrices. Earlier there was no possibility of grouping and drilling down in a matrix. Now this is available and can be configured in two ways. Either you can right click and expand or collapse a particular selection, as shown here, or you could configure it to have buttons so that you can drill down and drill up. The next feature on our list is the updated filters pane. Now this pane is highly customizable and do not use up any space in your actual dashboard since it's part of the Power BI service. Now let us move back to our slides and talk about it in a bit more detail. Now this filter pane is currently available as a preview feature, and as shown earlier, they do not take up actual space in the dashboard and are part of this new filter pane. You can configure this pane to hide specific filters or all the filters. You can also lock any particular filter so that it cannot be changed by any report consumer. The whole filter pane can also be formatted to blend in with the rest of the report. You can also view the filters affecting specific visuals by hovering over the filter icon. Filters can be configured to let be expanded or collapsed as defaults. Now moving on to analytics improvements to the existing Q&A feature in Power BI. Now you could connect to analysis services in Power BI as a live connection and ask business questions to get charts and graphs through the intuitive natural language processing capabilities. This can be quite helpful while doing self-serve analysis on analysis services data model. There are few exceptions to this. You cannot perform this with an on-premise analysis services data model. Also, you need SQL Server Analysis Services version 2016 or higher to take advantage of this particular feature. Now, one of the most interesting features of data preparation is fuzzy merge. This can be useful when you are blending raw data for analysis and the lookups aren't perfect. You can configure the merge of data to happen on similarity instead of being exact by giving a percentage threshold. You can tell Power BI to ignore cases and spaces and the number of matches required to limit duplication. This can be extremely useful when you are blending data from a reliable source that might be internally generated with external sources like surveyed data. The second feature in data preparation is data profiling, which is right now also in preview mode. This can be used to check quality of data and remove errors, empty values, and even outliers with a click of a button. Now moving on to data connectors. Let us look at Web Connector. Using this, you can connect to any URL using authentication if the web page is restricted to load data displayed on the web page. The columns are automatically populated upon filling values for a few rows as an example. This would be suited for web pages which contains tables and lists. This connector can be used to retrieve data which is regularly published on web pages to reduce any manual interventions. The next feature on the list is incremental refresh of data. This is currently a premium license feature and is meant for high-scale large data models. This helps in retrieving only the latest data in your model for quicker and reliable refreshes. It also reduces the resource consumption since there is lesser data to process. The refresh can either be scheduled or triggered by events like last updated date or any changes based on your data values. Bookmarking as a feature has finally arrived in Power BI for report consumers. Users can now save their filter selections as bookmarks and use them for quicker access to the relevant data in the report. User can make any one of the bookmarks as defaults as well. This is currently available in the Power BI service. This sums up few of the interesting Power BI latest features and improvements which may help your reporting needs. And now Jay will take you through the latest updates in Azure.
The offerings within Microsoft span nearly all corners of the BI analytics market. Perhaps the most common area you may be familiar with is data storage. such as Azure SQL Database and Warehouse, as well as cloud-specific solutions for storage, such as blob storage or data lake stores. Within the Azure landscape, data transformation and modeling can be achieved with Data Factory or Azure Analysis Services to ensure your data is prepared to meet your organization's reporting needs. Microsoft also offers tools like Azure ML or HT Insight to drive analytics, allowing deeper data understanding and provide rich insights. All of these tools can be integrated into a seamless architecture and tied together with Active Directory access controls. We will see some of these in more detail in our following sections and share the newest feature offerings for them. Azure Data Lake Gen 2 was made available for public preview in June 2018. It is the only data lake designed specifically for enterprises to run large-scale analytics workloads in the cloud. As part of the latest update, ADLS Gen 2 will now support viewing and managing your data with Azure Storage Explorer. Azure Storage Explorer is an existing resource that allows data exploration and access control management of your storage. Common Data Model is a previously launched functionality which unifies data from disparate sources and stores and standardizes them in a known form so that there is structural and semantic consistency within all applications that want to access this data. Microsoft have worked with various industries in defining data models for their own use cases. If you're interested in finding out more information on this, please feel free to have a look at the on-demand content on our website. With the latest update, Power BI and SQL Data Warehouse can now access the common data model entities stored within ADLS Gen 2. Vibhor will cover this in greater detail in the coming section. From the previous features, you might have gotten a sense of the shape ADLS is beginning to take, with it almost being positioned as a structured data source. This can now be seen with Databricks being allowed to access files within ADLS Gen 2 as if it were within its own file system, thereby making reading data from it much faster and more efficient. It also has integrated security features from ADLS Gen 1, such as role-based access control, which uses Active Directory as means for authentication, thereby providing enterprise-class security for your data lake. Basically, with this, Gen 2 combines the core capabilities of existing Gen 1 data lake store and integrates them with the tiering features of Azure Blob Storage. This combination enables best-in-class analytics performance along with Blob Storage's cost-effective tiering and data lifecycle management capabilities, and the fundamental availability, security, and durability capabilities of Azure Storage. The next set of updates come from Azure Machine Learning Service. This will reside inside Microsoft AI and ML portfolio, which includes the firm's Cognitive Services brand and the wider Azure ML Studio. Azure ML Studio is a drag-and-drop visual workspace where you can build, test, deploy machine learning solutions using pre-built, pre-configured models and algorithms present within the service. Azure Machine Learning Service enables you to custom build, train, and deploy machine learning models that cater to your specific needs. It has been designed to enable data scientists to leverage familiar and rich data science tools along with popular machine learning and deep learning tools and frameworks. You can seamlessly integrate with Azure data platforms such as Databricks to prepare data for machine learning. As you can see here, everything from data preparation, building your model using tools popular among data scientists, to training and deploying your model, all of it can be achieved within the Azure workspace, thus providing support for every step within the ML solution lifecycle. With Azure ML Service, Microsoft, I believe, have come up with routes to be able to abstract back-end complexity and plug in chunks of additional machine learning intelligence into solutions and applications. Azure Data Factory is a serverless orchestrator that allows you to create data pipelines to either move, transform, or load data. It had certain operational limitations which Microsoft have addressed with version 2, which is now generally available. One of the more popular ones is the ability to lift and shift SSIS implementation into your ADF workspace. This is especially useful for enterprises having already invested in solutions running on SSIS. ADF version 2 also allows for better hybrid orchestration, wherein pipelines trigger individual instances of integration runtime, which will handle the effective execution. This allows you to easily work across regions while the execution is as close to you as possible. Previously, Data Factory only supported building data pipelines for scenarios where data slicing was used. If you had scenarios where this was not the case, then there was no Data Factory pipeline that could help you. Scenarios such as on-demand execution, advanced scheduling, or event-based scheduling were not being handled by the platform. Polling had to be used as a mechanism to get around it, thereby increasing compute costs and subsequently driving up Azure subscription costs. Azure Data Factory version therefore now provides the functionality that allows us to achieve enterprise-grade integration between data stores, processing, and visualization thanks to the integration of SSIS. It also offers more advanced triggers and control flows, and the introduction of integration runtime makes operating hybrid architectures much more efficient. As we saw previously, Azure Data Factory had been primarily an orchestration tool. Dataflows was launched to change that. It is a cloud-native graphical data transformation tool that sits within our Azure Data Factory platform as a service product, thus evolving ADF into an ETL tool in the mold of SSIS. Dataflow provides visual data transformation capabilities scaled out on Databricks without leaving the ADF browser-based UI. So every data flow that you create is a reusable entity that can be executed in many different pipelines, making your pipelines more modular. Another really interesting aspect is that data flows are executed using your Databricks clusters. You can either utilize your existing cluster or spin up independent ones. Keeping clusters running rack up costs, but spinning up new clusters has its own drawbacks, wherein it may take 5 or 10 minutes for clusters to warm up. So spinning up new ones may result in some latencies. So depending on your business needs, an approach may have to be defined to maintain cost effectiveness while achieving optimum performance. The final update for today comes from Stream Analytics. An illustration that depicts the service allows you to examine high volumes of data streaming from a variety of sources. Incoming data can be from devices, sensors, websites, social media feeds, applications, and many more. It also supports extracting information from data streams, identifying patterns and relationships. This can then be surfaced in reporting tools such as Power BI for continuous tracking, or pushed into storage services such as Data Lake and SQLDB. With the latest update, data that makes its way through Stream Analytics can now be locally tested with Visual Studio, thereby providing capability to test live data. Microsoft have also claimed higher throughput to SQL, making processing much more performant. Another really interesting feature is the integration of Azure Stream Analytics with IoT Edge. This allows for analytical processing to be carried out locally on the IoT Edge device, rather than having to push to the cloud every time, thus making analytical processing more secure and efficient in bandwidth consumption. This feature is currently in public preview, and it remains to be seen what changes and features are added to it before it is made generally available. Our final feature that we will be covering within Stream Analytics is the introduction of inbuilt models for anomaly detection. This provides a plug-and-play approach without requiring development and training of individual ML modules. This, in effect, reduces the entire complexity associated with building ML models to a single function call. That concludes our updates on the Azure section. There are many more updates which we couldn't cover here today. If you're interested in finding out more, please feel free to reach out to us. Now let me hand over to Vibhor to take you through some new functions that will allow you to do more using Power BI with Azure.
Thanks, Jay, for the insightful updates. Now let us look at few of the updates in Power BI and Azure integration. First up is Databricks and Power BI. Power BI now allows a live connection to Databricks in Azure. So there is no need to load data into Power BI, but use the power of Databricks for faster querying and quicker visuals. Also, there is no lag in data, and real-time analysis can be performed. It also becomes easier to find root causes in case of data quality issues before the data is moved into a data warehouse. We'll now be discussing Power BI data flows. Now, Power BI data flows help you build ETL operations in the Power BI web service itself, using the well-known Excel Power Query interface. This was earlier only possible by importing data into Power BI datasets. Now, every enterprise has multiple disparate data sources of different shapes and sizes. Dataflow allows these data sources to be blended easily. You could even merge your own data, say in Excel, with already available data sources. One of the amazing features of data flows is that you can reuse already created data flows and build on top of each other's work. You don't need to do duplicate work for the same transformations. You could also build calculated entities using the compute functionality. Power BI understands the links and refreshes all the connected data flows together whenever needed. Once your data flow is ready, you can create Power BI datasets, reports, and dashboards to help your reporting needs. Data flows are also compatible with common data model, so the data stays standard and understood among all the applications in the same manner. Power BI can now be integrated with your Azure Data Lake Gen 2 account. And once configured, all the data flows, instead of being stored in Power BI workspaces, would be stored in your ADLS Gen 2 storage. The usefulness of this feature is that all the Azure services can now leverage the data flows created in Power BI service, as well as the data stored by the Azure services can be made part of any of the data flows in Power BI. This two-way channel would reduce redundancy and duplication of data. Additional features include scheduled refresh of data flows. Thank you all for joining us for the webcast today. We hope it was informative. Do reach out to us in case you have any questions at the displayed contact details. Have a great day ahead.